Okay. My name is Austin Jetton. I was born in 1956 and graduated high school in 1975.
Okay. And what are some of the things that you remember about Mooresville when you were growing up?
Wow. Um, Gosh, growing up in Mooresville, as we talked previously, was definitely a community. West End, where we lived in a two-family house growing up, with my father's parents living on the bottom, and we living on top, and then neighbors, just sort of looked out for each other's kids. We could go outside and play and have fun all day, and usually everyone came in around the same time to eat because mom or grandmother would call everyone in. And then if it was in the summertime, the sun didn't go down to until very, very late, so we'd all go back out and play to 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening, and that was great. um, Discipline. It was okay for another parent to discipline you because they knew your parents very well. So that's where you got your morals from. You respected your elders, and that I remember so vividly. You said Mr. So and so or Mrs. So and so or Aunt this or Uncle that. It wasn't by first name. So all of that was instilled in us. We learned how to work to earn a living, to be happy in what you do and prosper and to make something out of your life, and value our education. Going to school at Dunbar, I was there for 6 years before schools segregated. And going through my teachers, first grade, Mrs. Campbell, no, it wasn't Mrs. Caldwell, and then Mrs. Campbell, Mrs. Duncan, Mrs. Hooker, and Mrs. Austin, sixth grade, and then the schools segregated. What was different when the schools did segregate, we never changed classes, but I started at Mooresville Junior High School. I think it was in 1968 when segregation started. And so we had first period, second period, third period, all of this stuff that we had to get used to. That was a little different for us, and we were a little slow in picking things up, but once we did, it's like, okay, this is all right. We're getting to know everyone in town, and so let's all work together. um that's for a start.
Okay, that was good. So, in other words, were you and Ray Duff in the same class, or was?
Yeah. What happened was, when the school segregated, Ray and I were in the same class in the seventh grade, and getting there and everything was so different that I don't know if I became scared or whatever, but the teachers knew that I could do better. So they called my father and said, "We want to hold Austin back a year because we know that he will excel." So my father was out gardening, and after the first year, and told me that the teacher says they would pass you on, but I told them no because I know that you are a smart kid. So I want you to repeat your grade. Best thing I ever did, because after that, I did. I hated it for a while. So did my brother because I was in his class. But it really helped me to expand, get to know people, and get into other things in the school. I came out of the shell. So
Did you freeze up, Sean? You
nope.
still there? Can you hear me, Sean? Okay, I think you also must have froze up on us there a little bit.
Did I? Okay.
Okay, you good? Uh, uh, Austin, I think that all of us, when we when the schools was integrated, I think we all kind of had it tough there from the first year when school was integrated because you think about it, we all came from predominantly our own race,
Yeah,
of class, of people we were around, and moved us into an environment that was kind of tough. A lot of us, and a lot of them, the first year just quit. They quit school
yeah,
because of
yeah,
that. But then some of them went back later on and got the GED. Some of them went back and finished school. Some of them went back and went to college and did great things for themselves. But that first year was just, I think it was a little bit tough for a lot of us because if you think about it, when they integrated the schools, a lot of people don't realize that the integration where it came in was a lot of the Black female teachers that was the one that initiated the that the schools be desegregated because of the educational purposes. And you know for yourself, a lot of books that we got at Dunbar was handed down books. You didn't have pages in it, and a lot of things of this nature. And then when they integrated the schools, if you notice, most of the Black schools um, they closed down, and the ones that didn't close down, the teachers was without a job, and the teachers to me were the smartest. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
what was some of your experiences there? When you first went there, I mean, do you feel that some of the kids was? Did you ever experience racism your first year or so?
Um, Not me personally. I'm usually wide-eyed about any new situation and try to um, just blend in. Um, I did see through other Black friends the difficulties that they were having. And I think basically there was a wall up, not allowing themselves to get to know these people. Uh, their books were, different than what we had. So that was one of the main struggles. That was my struggle at first until I got my arms around it, and then I was able to say, okay, I can do this. Um, there were some you would hear in playground, people getting a little scuffed. You would hear the N word, would start fights and riots. There, at junior high school, you're at that adolescent age anywhere where you're just full of so much energy that anything can happen. So that happened a lot at uh, then. But for me, I was always pretty calm and just going with the flow and just trying to get to know people. So I made a lot of friends my second time around when I repeated my grade in the seventh grade. And then I started excelling and becoming more popular and getting to know people, got into the band and I started running for offices. And they would have an office set aside basically for the Black students. We were outnumbered. So therefore, in order for us to be a class officer, it had to be set aside for first vice president as Blacks only. So I ran for that. I won. So I got to know more people, got on different committees, and became drum major for the junior high school band. Got known pretty well for that. So then I would tell a lot of my Black friends, listen, you're holding yourselves back. You know, you need to show these people that you are smart, that you can do this. You've got to let go of the anger. Yes, it's different, but we'll get used to it.
I have one question. When you said drum major, I
Yeah.
bet, I just bet you was the first Black drum major there, were you?
I was the first Black drum major in a junior high school, yes. But the first Black drum major, all in all, was Sylvester Pinkston. And
Okay.
that's who I admired. And that's why I wanted to be drum major in junior high school, because I used to watch Sylvester dance and the parade and football players, and I wanted to be just like him. So once I did get to high school, Sylvester had graduated. I was the second uh, Black drum major there, and I also danced in the parade, and also went to competition and won an award for drum major or something like that. So that set off my acting career, entertainment career, doing that.
Okay, all right. Well, Sylvester is best, and I said we were classmates,
Ah,
and I didn't. I'm glad you mentioned that because we'll make sure we get this in the documentary that he was the first Black drum major, and you was the first Black drum major at junior high
junior
school.
high school, yeah.
So that's good. And then you became the second Black drum major
Right.
when you got to senior high.
Hmm.
That's good. That's good. Good information. Okay, and you said that kind of kicked off your acting career. Did you take any acting classes or anything while you were there at senior high?
No,
Uh,
no, that's also a interesting story. I played in the band. I played trumpet, and then I became drum major, and then never even thought about singing. I never sung in a choir at high school, but I knew that I could sing, so I was sort of listening to them, but I just never joined. When I went to college, again, thinking of Sylvester, whatever Sylvester was doing, I wanted to do because I really admired what he did. He went to school to be a physical therapist. So when I did go off to college, my major starting off was physical therapy. And I took a couple of classes and I just realized this wasn't for me. My counselor happened to be the head of the music department. And we were playing my instrument, and he heard me singing, putting my instrument away, and he said, listen, he says, why don't you start taking voice lessons? And you've got a nice instrument there. And I thought, well, I can already sing. He goes, no, we want to teach you how to sing correctly so you can not will not lose your voice. So I started taking voice lessons with him. I changed my major over to music. And while there at college, I went to Carowinds, and I went to one of the live shows, and I saw a person in the show from Mooresville, Joey Pop. And I thought, oh, I said, I know that guy. I said, that means that I can get into this show also. Joey happened to go to the same college that I went to. I didn't realize that. And he lived down the hall from me. So I went to the audition the next year, and there must have been, oh gosh, 300 guys there and 300 girls, and they were looking for 18 spots. Now, they had auditioned in Winston-Salem and Greensboro, and then the last place was there at Carowinds. So I went to the audition. I did my song, and then they asked if I would stay back for movement. I had never taken dance classes before, but I was just eager to learn. I picked up things very quickly. So I did the dance. They said thank you, went back to school. 2 days later, they called in and told me that I was in the show. And I told my father, so I was very thankful because my father was worked at was it Dre Moore, I think it was, and he was one of the head maintenance guys there. So I worked for him during the summer. He was always so hard on me. So I wanted to I wanted to pursue my own thing. So that's how I got started in entertainment. That took me to New York from that.
well, how many years were you? And this was with Cats, right?
This was well, I did Carowinds for 2 years, when my junior and senior year in college, and then I moved to New York. I lost my father that year, which I was thinking I'm just going to stay here and wait. And it was my mother who told me, she goes, "You've got your own life to live, you know, you want to go to New York, go ahead. My uncle lived in Teaneck, New Jersey. So I went to live with him for about 4 months. And he became my surrogate father and basically held my hand and took me to New York and showed me around. And eventually I moved into the city and knew that he was just across the water. And 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 went out into the cesspool and just started auditioning. And by the more that I would audition, the more encouragement that I would get because it was tough. You could be a star in your own hometown, but so were these people in their own hometown. So you put all these people together. You had to make sure that you were just as good or better. So that was my key. I started taking dance lessons. I started taking more vocal lessons. Now in college, I got my degree in music, and I my degree is in opera. So I learned how to sing. My voice has always been sort of legit. So the stamina helped me through musical theater, which I had to retrain to learn how to do jazz and blues and all of that so I could get into many different shows, which I eventually mastered because if you pull back a little bit, then I also got into with the Platters. I toured Europe and Africa with them, which was all straight tones. So I'm pretty versatile when it comes to my voice.
Oh, I didn't know that you had worked with the Platters.
Yep.
That is awesome. Wow, that is awesome. Ah, wow. I tell you, we learned a lot about Mooresville and the people from Mooresville. This is the one reason why we wanted to make sure we got interviewed you, because we knew that you took off from Mooresville, and we wanted to interview some of the people that left Mooresville and did well for themselves. And I was mentioning to some of them just the other week, last week, and I says, just think, if we had all this talent that left Mooresville and decided, oh, I don't think I want to move back there. Just think if we had all that talent still here in Mooresville
Mm.
now with power, where we could all grow together. So, how many years now have you been away from Mooresville?
Oh wow. I left Mooresville when I was 23. So it's been about 40 some odd years. Yeah, about 43 years actually.
Okay. Do you ever think that one day you may end up moving back to Mooresville? Or
You know, I lately I've been toying, thinking about it as I get older, and you miss your family, and your family's always there for you if things go wrong health wise and all of that. Although I have great groups of friends up here who are um, at my beck and call whenever I need them, and vice versa. Um, but since mom has passed on and she left the home to us, and we have some land that on Charlotte Street that we still own. And I've often thought about redeveloping that land maybe and putting a tiny home on it and coming down, not full time, but being more of a snowbird. I love it up here in the summer. It's absolutely beautiful. I mountains surrounding me, and it's quite lovely. But it's very cold in the winter, and I love the snow and I love the cold. But by February, it's like go away, and it doesn't go away until April. So, so yes, it's not full time, but I miss I miss uh, the quality of how can I put this, the truth of my people in Mooresville, the churches, the values that I miss. I don't get that up here, but I get that back home.
okay. Well, Mooresville, when you left, I don't know what the population may have been, but for years, Statesville was always bigger than Mooresville. But
Right.
now, Mooresville the population is over around about 52, 53, might be 55,000. now, and Statesville's still at 28,000. So
Really?
Moore's is almost double in size to Statesville. And I tell a lot of people that come here looking for homes, and I said, you used to could ride all over Mooresville in a day, in a few hours and see Mooresville, but you can't do it now. Mooresville's just that have grown that big.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
found that out actually a couple of years ago when I was meeting some friends at Big Daddy's from my house, and usually it would take me 10 minutes to get there. So I was still thinking in that frame of mind, and I was 30 minutes late. I was like, I can believe it, the traffic. So it has grown immensely.
yeah. So okay, now tell us a little bit about how you got started into your chocolate, and what's the name for your chocolate, or give us some history about how you got started there and what all you.
Okay. Well, this is a very small town, upstate New York. I'm about 40 minutes west of Albany, a little town called Sharon Springs. And I'm also very close to Cooperstown, the Baseball Hall of Fame. And it's right on Route 20. And Route 20 will take you all the way to California. While I was in Cats, a friend of mine was also in the show, and had left the show, so I decided to come here and visit. And the town was very dilapidated as far as a lot of the old structures that they wanted to revitalize the town. And the best way of doing that was to bring in new blood. So they convinced me that they were a realtor to buy some property here. At the time, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about getting back to New York and just continuing my career. And I told my mother about it. She goes, "No, you should really think about buying property. You're in theater, and theater shows don't last a very long time, and you're making a little bit of money now, so invest that money in buying property." I always listened to my mother, so I did, and watched a movie called "Oh Chocolat." That's the one with Johnny Depp and Joan Binoche. Johnny Depp is sort of like a vagabond. Joan Binoche comes into town, and she opens up this chocolate shop in this small little town, and this town was in need of something like that, and it just absolutely grew. So I said to a couple of locals here, I went, "That's what this town needs, is a chocolate shop. So one day I'm going to open one." And so I talked about it for years and years and years and years as I was coming back and forth from New York, because I was still performing at the time. And so one time at Christmas, a friend came up and gave me a book on chocolates. He says, "You keep talking about it. You should really do it and think about it. There in this town, I am basically the only Black person, quote, in Sharon Springs. So I'm the only Black owned business here. So that says a lot about the community. They're trying to integrate it, and because it's more of like a Jewish community, but we want to expand it more. So I took a class online, and which they accepted 25 students from all over the world. It was an open forum. I was living in my apartment in New York. I was doing catering gigs in New York to survive. I wasn't doing a show at the time. So I would come home from catering gigs. I would do my lesson, of which you had to do this, and then you would email it in, and then they would test it out by making it themselves and grade you that way. I had to do a lot of research. So once I got that under my belt, I started taking samples to the different catering companies in New York City that clients were very wealthy and knew a lot about chocolates and truffles, just to get a feel for if I was doing something right, and I wanted feedback. And they liked it, and I started doing festivals here in town here and all over. And then my friends own a hotel here, and they said, "Listen, why don't you come here and be our general manager? This way you can live in your home and then work for us." And I thought, I don't know if I want to work for my friends, and I don't know if I want to leave New York City. So I kept my apartment, have a roommate there. So therefore, that roommate pays the rent. Decided, well, I'll come here, live in my house full time, and go down to the city every now and again. And while working there, they owned the building across the street, and that space became available. And they said, listen, why don't you put your chocolate shop in there? We'll give you a good rate. So I put the shop in first as a pop-up shop. It did really well. And then then I opened it, and then I started renting the shop behind, which I'm building a certified kitchen where I make all of my product. And so and now it's beginning. I've been there for 2 years, and people are beginning to know about me. They call me the singing chocolatier, so that's my gimmick.
All right. Well, like I said, we're going to be pushing hard for you uh, to get your chocolate into some of these somewhere here in Mooresville,
Nice, nice.
that it can be on display at any time that somebody want it. Uh, Sean, you got any questions? I know you're sitting there. I know you're shopping at the bit. I know you got some.
No, I don't have any questions, but you never really said the name of the college you went to.
Ah, Catawba College in Salisbury, North Carolina. It's a small business college, basically, with a great music drama department. And it was 30 minutes from home. And another reason why I chose that college was because of my cousin went there, who I also admired, Erling Hawkins. And I went there because of her, and loved it.
It seems that most of the things that you've done in your life, you did it because you were inspired by someone else that you knew.
Yeah, and I try to be that for other people. I talk a lot to the youth, and I tell them, listen, you can only be as good as you allow yourself to be. If you are afraid and hold yourself back, then you'll never know what you could achieve, and you never want to have regrets. So, there are struggles. I've had struggles being in theater. You do a show, and then the show closes, and then you have to make money. So you clean apartments, you work in restaurants, you do singing telegrams, you have to survive. So that by growing up in Mooresville and being in the community that I was in, I learned those values that I'm not too good for anything. You have to make a living, and you are good. So accept that for yourself.
And tell us about your greatest accomplishments.
My greatest accomplishments? Oh, wow. Um, well, I did a movie actually. I did a movie called Moving Mountains. I play I play Arlie Johnson, who is a living legislator in West Virginia. The movie is based on a true story, actually, of a girl who grew up in Mooresville by the name of Patricia Bragg. Patricia moved to West Virginia, and they were having problems with coal mining there. They were blasting the mountaintops, and then because of the blasting, it caused wells to crack, and all this sludge was poisoning people in their water. So she fought for this, and Arlie is a legislator who helped her get some bills passed. So they made a movie out of that. And she asked if I would audition for it, and I did, and I got that part. So it is now on YouTube and various other networks.
And I keep hearing cats, cats,
Mm.
cats.
Cats,
Um,
yes.
for someone that's not familiar with that, explain it.
Okay, Cats is a musical based on T.S. Eliot's poems. And it's basically poems put to music. So it's a bunch of cats in an alleyway. You've got your orange cat, white cat. I played O Deuteronomy. I was actually a booth singer, and I covered Deuteronomy. So I went on whenever he was ill. He is the grandpapa that takes Grisabella. Grisabella is the tattered cat. It's basically, as I explain it to various people, it's a tribe of cats, and one leaves the tribe. Say if it was a real person that goes to Hollywood, goes to New York to try and make it, and head gets a little too big, and becomes, you know, distraught because they're not doing well, and then but they've been really nasty to everyone back home, forget who they are, come back, and the tribe does not want to have anything to do with them. My character, O Deuteronomy, is the wise one that says, hold on, you must accept this person back into this tribe because this could happen to you as well. Learn from her. We all are living beings, and therefore we all need to be loved. So it's a big dance show. My character, thank God, was a singing role, a character role. It's yeah, you must look at it on YouTube. It doesn't really have a plot to a certain extent. It's sort of all over the place. It's very a spectacle, as they say.
And how did you get the opportunity to act in it?
To act in Cats. In New York, when you get into a show, there's an audition process, and it's a very arduous process. There's 3 days of a call, and there could be thousands of people that come in, and they want you to sing 16 bars of your best. So you go in and you sing, and it's like, what can they see and with 16 bars? You go and you do it anyway, and then you leave. They know sort of what they're looking for and what they're hearing, so they make notes, and then they will ask you to come back, and they keep trickling it down that way and that way and that way. Finally, I had maybe 3 or 4 different auditions, callbacks, as they say. Callback is like, okay, they like you, they want to see a little bit more, they want to see what your stamina is. So my final callback, they brought me to the theater, and they had all of the producers sitting there, and they said that we want you to sing this song, and we want you to sing it in 3 different keys. And this way they could test to see what my ability was. So I did it. They would give me notes, and then I would do it again. And you're basically worn out by the time you leave there. And I left. They when I'd gone to the audition, Deuteronomy is usually a person who is much taller than I am and has much more girth. And I was smaller than what I am now, but I have broad shoulders, so they could pad me, and I have a pretty big voice. So as I listened to other people go in, I knew that I could sing much louder than they could. So they called me back, and they didn't call them back. And then eventually they called and told me that I had the show, and that sort of started my career. I did that for 7 years, 2 different companies of that. I left that, and I did Showboat in London. I worked with the actress Cloris Leachman, and that, also the actor Ned Beatty, and also what's his name? He was a Disney guy, Dean Jones, also came in. So and then went to London with Showboat as well. And then after that, I did Starlight Express, the one on roller skates, and the Andrew Lloyd Webber show, which is about a train. And then after that, came back here. So my career has been long and sort of here and there, but it's been great.
For that person right now in Mooresville, they're just thinking they're in a small town and nobody can see them. What message would you give them on being able to be successful in the entertainment industry and use your talent to travel the world?
To never doubt yourself. You know, if you hear the nays, don't believe them. You know, and don't even nay yourself. You know, just keep going and keep going. you'll get knocked down, you'll get stronger every time you go. Um, Persevere. You know, that's what the name of the game is. Entertainment is very, very difficult. Some will get it right off the bat, some will not. But you have to prove to yourself and prove to them that you are worthy to hire. So don't ever give up. That would be my most important thing. Don't give up.
That's all I had.
I would just like to ask one more question. Thanks, Sean, for bringing out those questions. Uh, since you left Mooresville, I know that you said that when you went out to Big Daddy's, it took you, it was like a 10-minute drive, and it took you 30 minutes to get to your 30 minutes left. But can you tell us, what have you seen in Mooresville since you left here, the changes that you have seen? And
Oh, well, my the neighborhood that I live in, for once, Kelly Street used to be just 6 houses, basically, and the development and the road that goes all the way through. I used to be a lot more land. I see a lot of developments all over Mooresville as for the traffic, by the golf course. It used to be this one little road, and that has expanded. The school has expanded. The junior high school, which is now part of the high school, is quite interesting. That there's so many people in the student body there now. I think when I graduated, there were 144 of us, and now there's something like 600 in a graduation class. I felt back then, because the school was small, the town was small, that everything was a little bit more intimate and hands-on, and that's the reason why I chose a small college to go to, so I could get the attention that I needed. You never want to be left in the dark, and sometimes when you're in a bigger population, you have to work twice as hard to be seen or to be heard. So as I said before, you must persevere to get what you want.
I thank you for that. Sean, if you don't have any more questions, wow, you gave us quite a bit, and I want to thank you for it. If you can think of anything else that you would like to say to the people in Mooresville, then please do so. If there's anything that you would like to say.
I would like to say that every single person growing up, every elder in my community, I thank you for everything you did for me, the discipline, the encouragement, and even the support to this day. When I come home and people always refer to Cats because they saw me in Cats when I played Ovens Auditorium years ago. So I'm associated with that. People know who I am when I come home, which sometimes surprises me. I haven't seen a lot of people in a long time, and they know my face, and it takes me a while, and then I'll catch on to who it is. So sometimes I'll stare at them thinking, I know that person, but I don't know. But just thanks for being you. I love my hometown, and and I'm very proud to be from there. I really am.
All right, thank you, Sean. You got anything else you would like to ask? Okay, all right. Well, Austin, what I'm gonna do, we have a consent form that I need to, and this is what it looked like, and it's just that you will kindly like sign your name and
Okay.
stuff, and then you can look at it. You can do it electronically. I email it to you. You can email it back, and what it is just giving us consent to putting you in the documentary, and it's the town of Mooresville that's doing it, because the town of Mooresville is paying for it. And I can let you know that they did giving us the money to do this documentary. And what this consent form is, if your family 50 years from now, your family see this and say, well, did my uncle or my great great uncle, great 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 uncle give them consent to do that? You know how some of us, we want to come back and try to sue. So so what we're doing is we're kind of trying to cross all the T's and dot all the I's to make sure that everything's legit when we put it here, because this documentary, we said we'll do it in a documentary form, film, because if you put it in book, a lot of people's not going to read it. Yeah. So we know if we do it by documentary, then this is going to be here when all of us is gone, long gone. It's still going to be here for everybody to see. So we want to thank you again for participating in making this, helping us make this documentary a success. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. All right. Anything else you'd like to say before we say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you? And you say you're going to try to be in the month of
hopefully the 1st or 2nd of February. I'll be there. And and I didn't tell you the my web address for my chocolate shop, which I'll do that on an email. I'll send that to you. So
okay. Well, if you want to mention it now so Sean can put it.
Sure. Okay. It's theostentatious.com. I'll spell that for you. TheAustentatious.com. Theostentatious.com.
Okay. Do you have a flyer with that you could send with the photos you're going to send?
I can take a picture.
Because if you had a flyer, he can put that in with the pictures, and all.
Okay, yeah, I'll see what I can do to get that in there for you. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All that alone.
Okay. All right. And but like I said, I will email you this consent form, and you can email it back. And Sean probably told you what we plan on doing on February 11th. Did you tell him that, Sean, that everybody that's taking part in the documentary film, that we're going to have special seats for all of you guys that's there, just in case anybody in the audience after we show the documentary, they may have questions and things that they may want to ask some of the panel.
Great. It's been my pleasure. This is exciting.
Yeah. We've been working with this thing since
August 7th.
August 7th. I wish we could have started it a long time ago, because during the process of these since we started in August, there was 3 people we were going to interview, but they passed away before we could get to them. But we're still going to we're going to get their names in the documentary some kind of way, and let people know that they were thought about. But just thinking we could have got it done 20, 30 years ago, before your mom and all them passed. Just think of the history we could have gotten.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, it's one thing my dad always told me, and I remember when he called me into the living room to talk to me about life, and he always told me, as a young Black man growing up in the world, you have to work twice as hard as the white man. He goes, but always keep your head high. And I've always remembered that. So, and that's what I carry on now to do whatever I do, and never let anything stop me.
Yeah, your dad was a good man. I remember when my sister, Elaine, I think I know you remember her, when she was having some, what you call it, tonsillitis or whatever you call it, thyroid problems, and my dad and mom used to have to take her back and forth to Durham, over to Durham at the hospital there in Durham, because no doctors around here was equipped and couldn't do it. I remember when your dad bought that 59 Ford Black,
Yeah.
and he would let my dad and mom use it to take my sister back and forth over there. So Calvin was a good man, good man.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, good man. But he didn't take no junk, man.
No, that's true. That's another documentary.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we thank you for it. And we're going to say good night to you.
All
And
right.
we will stay informed and look for that. I'll send you that email for the release form. Okay.
Okay, great.
All right.
Nice
Sean,
meeting you,
thanks for
everyone.
setting this up.
No problem. Bye now.
All right. Good night.
Good night.